Admiral Victoria Drake stood at the observation deck of the UES Hyperion, her weathered features reflected in the reinforced glass as she watched the distant stars. The destruction of New Eden Colony wasn't just another tragedy, it was the final straw. Behind her, Commander James Harrison cleared his throat, holding a datapad containing the latest casualty reports. 15,000 dead, Admiral. The Nexus swarm didn't leave a single structure standing. Harrison's voice carried the weight of too many similar reports. The Galactic Assembly's response is the same as always. Drake's fingers tightened around the railing. For 3 years, humanity had warned the Assembly about the growing Nexus swarm threat. For 3 years, they'd been dismissed as paranoid newcomers, barely a century into faster-than-light travel. The Assembly's older races, with their millennia of spacefaring experience, treated human intelligence reports like children's drawings, worthy of a patronizing smile, but nothing more. The Hyperion's communication array chimed. "Admiral," the ship's AI announced, "Ambassador Zena Trell of the Assembly Council is requesting an immediate conference." "Display," Drake commanded, straightening her uniform. The holographic projection materialized, showing the ethereal form of Ambassador Trell, her crystalline features catching the light from distant stars. "Admiral Drake," Trell's translated voice carried its usual tone of practiced patience. "We have reviewed your report regarding the New Eden incident. While regrettable, our analysis suggests this was likely a natural migration pattern of the Nexus swarm, not a coordinated attack as your military claims." Drake felt her jaw clench. "Ambassador, we had 3 automated outposts tracking their movements. This wasn't migration, it was a deliberate assault. They ignored viable resource-rich systems to specifically target our colony. Your monitoring technology is primitive by Assembly standards," Trell responded. "Perhaps you misinterpreted the data. We have coexisted with the Nexus swarm for millennia. They are aggressive, yes, but not intelligent enough for coordinated attacks." Harrison stepped forward, his face flushed with anger, but Drake raised a hand to silence him. She'd played this game long enough to know the rules. "Thank you for your insight, Ambassador. Will the Assembly be providing any assistance to our evacuation efforts? We will dispatch an observation team within the next standard month to assess the situation." The ambassador's tone suggested this was a generous offer. "The colony is gone now, Ambassador. In a month, there will be nothing left to assess." Drake's voice remained eerily calm. "Nevertheless, proper protocols must be followed. The Assembly has existed for 50,000 years by adhering to its established procedures." Trell's image flickered. "We understand this is difficult for younger species to accept, but patience is a virtue we hope humanity will learn in time." After the transmission ended, Harrison slammed his fist against the wall. "They're going to keep dismissing us until every human colony is wiped out." Drake turned from the window, her expression unreadable. "No, Commander. They won't." She activated her secure comm link. "This is Admiral Drake. Authentication code, Prometheus Alpha 70. Initiate Project Avalon." Throughout the Sol system, hidden facilities hummed to life. Deep within Europa's ice sheets, massive fabrication plants began final assembly sequences. In the asteroid belt, concealed shipyards activated their gravitic drives, shifting out of their carefully maintained hiding positions. Beneath the surface of Mars, weapon systems that would make the Assembly's technology look primitive powered up for the first time. "Commander," Drake's voice carried the weight of years of preparation, "contact Dr. Blackwood at Avalon Base. Tell him it's time to show the galaxy why humanity survived everything Earth could throw at us." She turned back to the stars, her reflection now showing the hint of a grim smile. The Assembly had made a critical mistake. They'd assumed humanity's rapid acceptance of their subordinate position meant weakness. They'd never considered that humans might have learned from their own bloody history, that appearing weak while building strength was the oldest strategy in the book. Send word to all colonial governors, Drake continued. Initiate emergency evacuation protocols. Get our people clear of the frontier zones. She pulled up a tactical display, showing the position of the Nexus swarm relative to human space. The Assembly thinks we need to learn patience. Instead, they're about to learn why Earth's history is filled with empires who underestimated those they thought were beneath them. In the depths of space, the Nexus swarm moved with apparent randomness, their crystalline forms reflecting starlight. But deep within their collective consciousness, they sensed a change coming. The easy prey they'd found in human space was about to show its teeth. The next transmission Drake sent was to Earth's Unified Defense Council. 2 words that would change the course of human history: Avalon Rising. Dr. Marcus Blackwood stood in the central command chamber of Avalon Base, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Martian surface. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing real-time updates from facilities across the solar system that had remained hidden from the galaxy's prying eyes for over a decade. Each screen represented years of careful planning, countless sleepless nights, and humanity's unwavering determination to never again be at the mercy of superior forces. "Status report," he commanded, his voice echoing through the chamber. The base's AI responded immediately, its voice carefully calibrated to be authoritative yet calm. "Project Avalon assets are at 97% readiness, Dr. The Artemis fleet is completing final system checks. Quantum shield generators are operating at full capacity across all installations. Thanatos weapon systems are armed and calibrated." Lieutenant Olivia Chen, his head of operations, approached with a data crystal. Admiral Drake's authentication came through. "All evacuation protocols for frontier colonies are in motion." She paused, studying the massive holographic display of the solar system. "The Assembly surveillance satellites never detected a thing, did they?" Blackwood allowed himself a small smile. "Why would they? They're still using standard quantum detection arrays. Our metamaterial cloaking systems operate on principles their science hasn't even theorized yet." He brought up a new display, showing the massive shipyards hidden within Mars's smaller moon, Deimos. "Humanity's greatest advantage has always been our ability to innovate when backed into a corner." The chamber's doors slid open as General Richard Torres entered, his uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's Unified Defense Force. "Dr. Blackwood, it's time. Admiral Drake has ordered full activation of all Avalon assets." Blackwood nodded, entering a series of commands into the central console. Throughout the solar system, hidden facilities began shedding their camouflage. Within the asteroid belt, massive structures that had masqueraded as ordinary rocks revealed their true nature. Beneath Europa's ice, production facilities larger than cities powered up their main reactors. In orbit around Neptune, weapon platforms disguised as research stations activated their targeting systems. "We knew this day would come," Torres said, watching as the displays showed more and more assets coming online. The Assembly's arrogance made it inevitable. They were so convinced of their superiority that they never considered we might surpass them. Lieutenant Chen pulled up footage from the frontier colony's evacuation. "Civilian ships are clearing the danger zones. The Nexus swarm's next projected target is the Helios mining colony." "They're in for a surprise," Blackwood said, accessing another secure system. "Helios was never just a mining colony. It's one of our primary forward bases, completely hidden beneath the planetary surface." The main screen showed a massive vessel emerging from its hiding place within Deimos. The UES Prometheus, flagship of the Artemis fleet, represented everything humanity had achieved in secret. Its hull was composed of adaptive nanomaterials that could change configuration in response to different types of attacks. Its weapon systems utilized principles of physics that the Assembly had deemed theoretically impossible. "Send word to Admiral Drake," Torres ordered. "The Prometheus and her battle group are ready for deployment." All Avalon weapons platforms are online. Project Thanatos is armed and awaiting final authorization. Blackwood accessed his private communications channel. Victoria, Marcus here. Everything we've built, everything we've hidden, it's all ready. The Assembly is about to learn that dismissing humanity was their greatest mistake. In orbit around Mars, the Prometheus's engines flared to life, its massive form accompanied by dozens of smaller but equally advanced vessels. Each ship represented a different aspect of humanity's hidden technological revolution. Some carried weapons that could reshape the fabric of space itself. Others housed defensive systems that made them virtually invulnerable to conventional attacks. General, Lieutenant Chen called out, "We're detecting Assembly observation ships at the edge of the system. They must have noticed the energy signatures from our activation sequence." Torres smiled grimly. "Good. Let them watch. Let them see exactly what they've awakened." He turned to Blackwood. "Your team did the impossible, Doctor. You took their cast-off technologies, their generous gifts to the primitive humans, and turned them into something they never imagined possible." Blackwood moved to a secondary console, bringing up detailed scans of the Nexus swarm's movements. "We didn't just improve their technology, General. We completely reimagined it. They've spent millennia making incremental improvements to their existing systems. We threw out their assumptions and started fresh." The chamber's displays showed more assembly ships arriving at the system's edge, no doubt drawn by the sudden appearance of technology they'd never detected before. Their scan patterns showed increasing agitation as they tried to understand what they were seeing. "Send a message to all Avalon facilities," Torres commanded. "Operation Shadow Protocol is now active. All ships, maintain quantum stealth until Admiral Drake gives the signal. Let's show the galaxy exactly what humanity has been doing while they weren't watching." In the depths of space, the Artemis fleet moved into position, their advanced drives leaving no trace in normal space. The Assembly's observers remained unaware that they were surrounded by ships that could rewrite their understanding of what was possible. The waiting was over. Humanity's patience had run out. And in the darkness between the stars, the Nexus swarm continued its advance, unaware that its next target was no longer defenseless prey, but a trap waiting to be sprung. Admiral Drake stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, watching as the massive fleet dropped out of quantum stealth around her. The Artemis fleet's reveal was a sight that would have been impossible just hours ago, hundreds of ships that had never appeared on any registry, never been seen by Assembly sensors. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Harrison announced from his tactical station. "The Nexus swarm is maintaining its course toward Helios colony, completely unaware of our presence." Drake studied the tactical display, where the crystalline forms of the swarm moved in their characteristic pattern. The Assembly had spent millennia studying them, claiming to understand their behavior. But humanity had done something the Assembly never bothered to do, they'd looked deeper. "Dar. Blackwood," Drake called, activating the quantum comm link to Mars. "Are you seeing what we're seeing?" The scientist's hologram appeared on the bridge. "Confirmed, Admiral. The swarm's neural network is exactly where we predicted. Hidden beneath the crystalline shells, controlling their movements." The Assembly never realized they were dealing with a collective intelligence. "Begin Phase 1, Drake ordered. Deploy the resonance disruptors." From the fleet's forward elements, dozens of small devices activated, sending carefully calibrated quantum signals into space. To any Assembly sensors watching, they would appear to be standard communication buoys. But these devices were targeting something far more specific, the frequencies that held the swarm's hive mind together. The effect was immediate. The swarm's coordinated movement began to falter, their perfect formations showing the first signs of confusion. On the tactical display, their neural network patterns fluctuated wildly. "They're trying to adapt," Harrison reported. "The collective is attempting to shift frequencies." Drake nodded. Just as we predicted. Lieutenant Rodriguez, execute Phase 2. The UES Prometheus's main weapon systems came online, but they weren't conventional energy weapons or mass drivers. Instead, they projected fields of pure quantum interference, designed specifically to trap the swarm in bubbles of altered spacetime. Multiple assembly vessels approaching, Harrison warned. They're demanding we stand down and allow their experts to handle the swarm. Drake's expression hardened. Send them our response, watch and learn. The Artemis fleet moved with perfect coordination, their formations creating overlapping fields of quantum disruption. The swarm, for the first time in its known history, showed signs of genuine panic. Their crystalline forms began to crack as the neural network controlling them was systematically isolated and dismantled. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, we're detecting energy buildups in the swarm's core units. They're attempting some kind of collective defensive measure. Now we see what they're really capable of, Drake said. All ships, maintain position. Activate Thanatos protocols. Throughout the fleet, secondary weapon systems activated. These were humanity's answer to the assembly's most advanced technology, weapons that didn't just destroy, but rewrote the fundamental rules of space around their targets. The swarm's defensive surge came as a massive wave of crystalline energy, exactly the kind of attack that had devastated New Eden Colony. But this time, it met something entirely different. The Thanatos fields caught the energy and redirected it, turning the swarm's own power against itself. By all the stars, one of the assembly observers transmitted, their message filled with disbelief. What have you done? This technology, it's impossible. Drake allowed herself a grim smile. Nothing is impossible. You just lacked the imagination to see beyond your own assumptions. The battle continued for hours, but its outcome was never in doubt. The Artemis fleet methodically dismantled the swarm's neural network, breaking its collective consciousness into increasingly smaller fragments until the threat was neutralized. Where the assembly had spent millennia containing and avoiding the swarm, humanity had found a way to defeat it in a single decisive engagement. As the last remnants of the swarm were contained, Drake opened a channel to all assembly vessels in the area. To all observers, what you have witnessed today is merely the beginning. Humanity will no longer accept being dismissed or ignored. We have evolved beyond your expectations, and we will defend ourselves with or without your approval. The assembly ships maintained their position, their sensors frantically trying to analyze what they had just witnessed. But humanity's technology operated on principles they hadn't even begun to understand. Message from Earth Defense Command, Harrison announced. They're ready to proceed with Phase 3. Drake nodded, knowing that across human space, other fleets were emerging from hiding, securing their territories and preparing for the inevitable diplomatic fallout. The assembly would have to face a new reality. Humanity wasn't just another primitive species to be patronized and controlled. Send word to all commands, she ordered. Operation Shadow Protocol is complete. Begin diplomatic initiatives as planned. She turned to face the distant assembly ships. Let's see how quickly they learn to treat us as equals when they realize just how far behind they've fallen. In the depths of Mars, Dr. Blackwood watched the data streams from the battle, already planning improvements and refinements. The assembly had given humanity a choice between submission and extinction. Instead, they'd chosen a third option, transcendence. And this was only the beginning. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Assembly had never been so silent. Ambassador Catherine Walsh stood at the central podium, her holographic image projected clearly to all 500 representatives of spacefaring civilizations. Behind her, a recording played showing the Artemis fleet's decisive victory over the Nexus swarm. For centuries, Walsh began, her voice carrying through the massive chamber, the assembly has maintained its position through a carefully crafted illusion of superiority. Today, that illusion ends. The Zorian representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, flared with indignation. "This is outrageous. You've concealed military assets, developed prohibited technologies." "Prohibited by whom?" Walsh interrupted, her tone sharp. "By the same council that dismissed our warnings? That watched our colonies die while hiding behind bureaucratic procedures?" She gestured to the display, where the Prometheus demonstrated capabilities that defied the Assembly's understanding of physics. "You didn't prohibit these technologies because they were dangerous. You prohibited them because you couldn't control them." In orbit above Earth, the Avalon defense grid had fully activated. Similar systems emerged around every human world, revealing defenses that made previous Assembly protection treaties look primitive by comparison. Dr. Blackwood and his team monitored the deployment from their command center on Mars. "The Rashari Empire is mobilizing their fleet," Lieutenant Chen reported, watching the long-range sensors. "They're maintaining position just outside the Arcturus sector." General Torres smiled grimly. "Let them. Every scan they make, every probe they send, only confirms what they're beginning to realize: they're no longer dealing with the primitive species they thought they knew." Back in the Assembly chamber, the political landscape was shifting rapidly. The Nexian Collective, long considered a minor power, had requested an immediate private audience with Earth's representatives. The Drachnid Confederation, historically neutral, was openly praising humanity's technological achievements. "We've received diplomatic communications from 17 previously unaligned worlds," Commander Harrison informed Admiral Drake aboard the Prometheus. "They're all requesting technological exchange programs." Drake reviewed the requests on her datapad. "They're not just looking for weapons. They see what we've done, completely reimagining established scientific principles rather than simply refining existing technology. Forward these to Earth Defense Command for review." The Assembly's emergency session had devolved into chaos. Centuries-old alliances were fracturing as the full implications of humanity's advancement became clear. The older races, who had dominated galactic politics for millennia, found their authority challenged for the first time. "You don't understand what you've done," Ambassador Trell declared, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. "The Assembly's stability depends on controlled technological advancement. Your reckless innovation could destroy everything we've built." Ambassador Walsh smiled. "No, Trell. What you call stability, we call stagnation. You've spent so long maintaining your position at the top that you forgot what it means to truly progress." She activated a secondary display, showing the various hidden human installations throughout Sol System. "While you watched us with condescension, we were watching you. Learning from your mistakes. Seeing the opportunities you were too set in your ways to recognize." In a secure conference room adjacent to the chamber, Earth's diplomatic corps was already meeting with representatives from dozens of younger spacefaring races. Species that had, like humanity, been kept on the fringes of galactic society. "The Assembly's monopoly on advanced technology ends today," Walsh continued. "We're establishing the Sol Cooperative, an alliance of species dedicated to genuine innovation and mutual defense. No more artificial restrictions. No more technological suppression disguised as protection." The Arcanian delegate, representing one of the Assembly's founding races, rose in protest. "You would undo millennia of careful progress for your petty revenge?" "This isn't about revenge," Walsh countered. "It's about survival. The Nexus swarm was just the beginning. There are threats out there that your cautious, incremental approach can't handle. We found a better way. And judging by the communications we're receiving, we're not the only ones who want change." Throughout human space, shipyards that had operated in secret now worked openly, beginning production of vessels that would redefine galactic warfare. Research facilities shared breakthroughs that the Assembly had deemed impossible. And in the diplomatic backchannels, a new power structure was taking shape. "The Centauri Federation is requesting immediate membership in the Sol Cooperative," Harrison reported. Their technological capabilities are more advanced than the Assembly realized. They've been hiding too. Drake nodded, unsurprised. How many others, I wonder? How many species developed in secret, knowing the Assembly would never accept true competition? She opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. This is bigger than we anticipated. We're not just changing the balance of power, we're completely rewriting it. In the Assembly chamber, more delegations were walking out, already reaching for their communication devices to contact their governments. The old order was crumbling, and from its ruins, something new was emerging. Ambassador Walsh's final words echoed through the chamber, "The age of suppression is over. Welcome to a new era of human innovation. Those who wish to join us in actual progress are welcome. Those who don't will have to adapt to a galaxy they no longer control." 1 month after humanity's revelation to the galaxy, the Sol Cooperative's inaugural summit convened in Earth's orbital command station. Admiral Drake watched as representatives from 32 spacefaring civilizations gathered in the Grand Conference Chamber, each bringing their own hidden innovations to share. "The Centauri delegation has arrived," Commander Harrison reported. "Their stealth technology rivals our quantum masking systems. All this time, we weren't the only ones hiding our true capabilities." The station's massive viewing windows offered a spectacular view of Earth below, now protected by defense systems that had rewritten the rules of space warfare. In orbit, vessels of various designs moved with purpose, ships from species that had, like humanity, developed in secret under the Assembly's shadow. Dr. Blackwood's hologram appeared at the command center. "Admiral, the first joint research initiative is showing remarkable results. The Nexian scientists' approach to quantum mechanics complements our own theories perfectly. Together, we're making breakthroughs that would have taken decades separately. The Assembly never considered that their suppression might drive multiple species to develop along similar paths," Drake replied, studying the latest technical reports. "They created their own opposition without realizing it." The main doors opened as Ambassador Walsh entered, accompanied by First Speaker Lyra of the Drachnid Confederation. The Drachnid, with their iridescent scaled forms and advanced biotechnology, had emerged as one of humanity's strongest allies in the new order. "The Assembly's Emergency Council is still in session," Walsh reported, her expression showing a mix of satisfaction and concern. "Half their member worlds have already pledged to join the cooperative. The old power structure is collapsing faster than anyone predicted." First Speaker Lyra's translator conveyed her harmonious speech. "They built their authority on technological suppression, claiming it was for the galaxy's protection. But they never considered that true security comes from innovation, not stagnation." The station's alert system suddenly activated. Multiple Assembly warships detected entering the Sol system, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced from his station. "They're led by the Arcanian dreadnought Eternal Wisdom." "Right on schedule," Drake said calmly. They couldn't resist making one final show of force. She opened a channel to the Artemis fleet. "All ships, maintain defensive positions. Let's show them exactly what they're facing." The Assembly fleet emerged from hyperspace in a display of traditional power, massive vessels using technology that had remained largely unchanged for centuries. They positioned themselves in attack formation, a clear attempt at intimidation. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Harrison reported. "The Arcanian High Command demands our immediate surrender and submission to Assembly authority." Drake exchanged glances with Walsh and First Speaker Lyra. "Show them our response." Throughout the Sol system, humanity's hidden achievements revealed themselves. Defensive platforms phased into visibility around every planet. The Artemis fleet took up formation, joined by vessels from their new allies. From Mars, a massive energy signature appeared as Project Thanatos fully activated for the first time. By the ancient stars, the Arcanian transmission carried clear shock. "What is this?" "This," Ambassador Walsh responded, her voice carried to every ship in the system, is the future you tried to prevent. Look around you. Every species you dismissed, every civilization you forced to develop in secret, we've all surpassed you. Your time of dominance through suppression is over. The assembly fleet sensors were overwhelmed trying to analyze the technology surrounding them. The Prometheus alone carried weapon systems that their most advanced science had deemed impossible. And now they faced not just humanity's innovations, but the combined achievements of dozens of species who had developed beyond their control. You have a choice, Drake transmitted to the Arcanian command ship. You can accept that the galaxy has changed and join us in true progress, or you can retreat to your territories and watch as the rest of us move forward without you. But attempting to maintain your old authority through force. She paused as the Artemis fleet's weapons locked onto their targets. That's no longer an option. For several tense moments, the assembly fleet maintained their attack position. Then, slowly, their weapons powered down. The Arcanian Dreadnought's commander appeared on the main screen, his ancient face showing resignation. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the assembly to evolve as well. In the conference chamber, representatives from civilizations that had hidden their true nature for centuries began sharing their achievements openly. The Nexians revealed propulsion technology that could revolutionize space travel. The Drachnid presented biological computing systems that merged seamlessly with quantum technology. Each species brought pieces of a puzzle that, together, painted a picture of advancement far beyond what the assembly had permitted. They thought keeping us apart would keep us weak, Dr. Blackwood observed, watching the exchanges. Instead, they forced us all to think differently, to find new paths they'd never imagined. Admiral Drake stood at the chamber's podium, addressing the gathered representatives. For too long, we were told to wait, to accept limitations, to trust in the wisdom of older civilizations. But humanity has never been good at waiting, and neither, it seems, were many of you. The end.